Okay, welcome back. The media going wild over Michael Cohen's hearing.
Heard from Michael Cohen what might be the most damaging testimony for a president.
We now have a conspiracy, an ongoing crime that moves right into the White House.
The big concern I would have is what concessions that the president might make simply to counter-distract from this testimony.
All right, so does the preferential coverage of Michael Cohen over Vietnam show a bias here? Here to debate that is Democratic strategist Kevin Walling and senior policy analyst Patrice Onwuka. Guys, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Good morning, Rob.
I want to pull up the information here we want to show you. These are the three main broadcast networks. NBC doing 4 minutes in the evening news, a little over 4 minutes for Vietnam, and then about 12 minutes on Cohen. CBS 4 and 7, ABC 2, and then 8 on Cohen. Patrice, I'll start with you. To be fair, the North Korean summit hadn't really evolved yet completely, and the Cohen hearing was some very explosive stuff. What do you think?
Well, obviously, the news media, they are trying to sell TV time. They know that anything related to Cohen is going to be salacious. It's going to have some allegations, which may or may not be true, very likely not true. And so it's better for them to be able to, present this image. And for Democrats, obviously, it's great. They can present an image, two images to the American public, a measured world leader or a con man. And that's what they got. That's what they were able to get out of the testimony yesterday.
Yeah, and Mike, I mean, obviously the Democrats, some of the media were elated to have this on television yesterday. Do you see a bias?
I don't see a bias at all, and I think it's important to remember that this hearing was originally scheduled for earlier this month, but President Trump took to Twitter. He had Rudy Giuliani on CNN attacking Michael Cohen, attacking his family, and that actually precipitated the move of this hearing to yesterday. And of course, he was also on the Hill.
But let me push back. They could have put it any day. They could have put it next week.
Sure, but we're an American democracy. We can handle multiple things at the same time. And Rob, to your point, I think it makes sense at the outset that the summit really hadn't even started at that point. They had that dinner, and there was nothing really to report.
The timing is absolutely suspect. I mean, this testimony had been delayed several times, and then lo and behold, wow, yesterday was the perfect time to do it. Again, this is really meant to undermine the president's credibility among the American people. It's a great way to present these two dual images, and Democrats were hoping they would get something salacious out of it. By the way, I think the biggest headline from Cohen's testimony is that he knows there's no collusion on the part of President Trump, and he certainly, for all the things that he probably lied about yesterday, that may have been the one hint of truth.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, it seems like there's always been kind of a protocol that you don't try to hurt the president while he's overseas doing business, and that went out the window yesterday. I want to ask you one thing, though. I mean, one thing Michael Cohen said was that, he has his theories on everything, but he says that, A, there's no proof of collusion. He also says the president didn't ever think he was going to win this election. And to me, that really sticks a knife in the collusion theory, because if you don't think you're going to win, why are you colluding with the Russians to win? And if you don't think you're going to win, why are you paying off porn stars to benefit your election?
Sure, Rob. I think that's an interesting point. I mean, my two takeaways were the president writing checks to cover up this affair from the Oval Office. Those checks were sent from the White House.
Which you could argue is, if you believe that, you could argue that he has done that before when he's not running for president, is the argument that a lot of people are making.
Sure. But again, the other interesting thing, Rob, is the fact that he both Ivanka, Eric, and Don Jr. In conversations with Russian nationals about a potential Moscow tower in the months leading up to the election. Interestingly enough, I don't think it puts a stake in the heart of the collusion issue. I think that it may be an issue of a financial more than Russian collusion at this point. But again, we have to see the process play out. The Southern District of New York is involved. And of course, we're still waiting for the Mueller report, which could come out as early as next week. Yeah, we are. Patrice, we want to go to a second topic here and talk about the impact of this summit in Vietnam on what's coming up here in 2020 and a big election. The president didn't quite get what he wanted yet, but he's moving in a good direction. What do you think?
I think actually for 2020, there was no damage to the president. I mean, not making a deal, being able to willing and able to walk away when you feel like you would be forced to give away too much is actually a sign of a good leader and a sign of strength, a position of strength. When you look at the 2020 contenders on the Democratic ticket, potentials, and those who have announced, none of them really bring any foreign policy acumen to the table.
Yeah, Kevin, final word.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I'm a little disappointed. Of course, I was rooting for this president to be successful. I think, Rob, as you said earlier in this program, the fact that we don't have a third summit on the books is a really strong disappointment for this administration.
Kevin Walling, the one Democrat that was rooting for this summit to be successful.
I was, absolutely.
We have you on record. Thank you guys so much for coming on this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
All right.